So I'm not even going to ask you if you did it. What I have to ascertain here is what kind of guy you are. Whether you're like a serial burglar and this is what you're doing all the time, or whether this is a one-off thing because of the power cut and everything that's going on tonight.
On August 14th, 2003, in Hamilton, Ontario, a call came in to 911 around midnight telling the police that a white man with a buzz cut was breaking into a jewelry store near the bus station. However, an hour later, the police had instead arrested Michael Dixon, a black man who claimed to have just got off the bus. He was brought in for questioning, and despite the contrary witness accounts, the cops were adamant that he was the burglar the police were searching for.
Like I said, whether you did it or not isn't up for discussion.
Okay, well.
It's really not.
This is what happens when the police try to force the suspect into a false confession. Let's rewind the tape a little bit. It is almost 3 a.m., and Michael Dixon is just now set to face his interrogator. As you can see from Michael's demeanor, he is very calm. He is confident in his innocence and probably considers this an irritating inconvenience. He hopes to be back home very soon. However, his mood will shift as soon as Detective Leek enters the room.
You're charged with break and enter. That's what you're arrested for. And it's my duty to inform you that you have the right to retain and instruct counsel without delay.
The detective reads Michael his rights.
You have the right to telephone in private any lawyer that you wish. You have the right to free advice in private from a legal aid lawyer. If you are charged with an offence, you may apply to the Ontario Legal Aid Plan for legal assistance. It's kind of out of sequence because you've already had that legal counsel. So I have to give you this right, and it's best that I give it to you while it's all recorded.
The most critical one of which is access to a lawyer.
Do you wish to call a lawyer right now?
No.
Again, you already have.
Yeah.
You've spoken to a lawyer on telephone. Okay.
Michael has already called a lawyer, a smart move when faced with a situation like this one.
And you're charged with break and enter. Do you wish to say anything in answer to the charge? You are not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but whatever you do say may be given in evidence.
Well, that's fine, because what I have to say is to plead my innocence, so I don't mind that.
Michael starts to explain his story, but the detective cuts him off while addressing him in a confrontational tone.
But I'm just curious to know, like, how it got this far, because, as I said to you earlier in the other room, the police officers that were stopped me on the street said that they had witnesses, and I...
Well, you wanted to talk to me about the events in the other room,
Yeah.
and I told you that that wasn't the right time and place to discuss it, remember
Right,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. There's one other thing I have to tell you before we discuss this, okay?
Okay.
Why we're here is because earlier tonight you were arrested for breaking into a jewelry store on John Street South. Now, your innocence and guilt in this, quite frankly, isn't an issue. The evidence I have is, frankly, conclusive and overwhelming.
The detective has just lied about the existence of conclusive evidence. In truth, the evidence is far from incriminating Michael. If anything, whatever evidence there was would rule him out as a suspect. What you are witnessing here is the application of the infamous Reid technique of interrogation. The goal of this method is to get a confession out of the suspect, often by manipulating facts and lying about the evidence. Unfortunately, it doesn't involve actually listening to what the suspect has to say.
So I'm not even going to ask you if you did it. What I have to ascertain here is what kind of guy you are. Whether this is you're like a serial burglar and this is what you're doing all the time, or whether this is a one-off thing because of the power cut and everything that's going on tonight.
Once again, the detective is applying Reid's method as he tries to paint Michael as a habitual criminal. The officer is suggesting multiple burglaries, hoping that this would force the suspect into admitting a lesser charge and make the detective's job easier.
Okay, I understand your position. Like I say here, I didn't do it, and you've heard that a million times, I'm sure, in your career. But it's just, ask me questions. That's all I can do is answer them, I guess.
I've got no questions to ask you. I mean, why did you do it? That's basically, yeah, that's my only question.
But coming from that position, and since I'm saying I didn't do it, I really don't have an answer for you except to say I didn't do it.
I guess we haven't really got a great amount to talk about. Yeah, it's like I said, whether you did it or not isn't up for the discussion.
Okay, well.
It's really not. There's a number of witnesses.
Great.
One of whom had a video camera.
Perfect.
Despite being a little mystified, Michael is staying composed under pressure. He now knows that the detective is not willing to listen. He makes one last-ditch effort to plead his innocence.
Okay, then. Well, that's relieving. That's relieving, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
So view the video camera.
I have.
Okay.
That's why your guilt isn't in issue here.
That doesn't even make sense to me. Because if I'm on the video camera, that doesn't make sense. You have a video camera that shows me?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
It makes perfect sense to me.
It would seem like Detective Leek had convinced himself of the suspect's guilt before this interview even started. He does not want to listen to the story and just wants a confession.
We'll have to, I guess, I have no choice but to get a lawyer then, if this is the kind of thing you're going to go through with me.
This isn't going to go away. You're charged with breaking in. You will be charged tonight.
Okay.
You will be going to court in the morning, charged with breaking in with intent.
By this point, Michael's patience is running thin, and he finally calls out the detective over his lies since he clearly is innocent.
Can I ask you something? Okay, are you just making this up that you have a video camera so you see how I react? Because it goes that if you're saying, okay, hear me out for a second, please. If I am guilty, as you believe, because you have me on video camera, then okay, we'll go through the procedure. But I'm saying, trying to call your bluff here because since I know I didn't do it, there's no way I can be on the video camera.
Ideally, the interrogator should know by now that they may have the wrong person in custody. At the very least, he could listen to the suspect's story, but this was not the case, and the detective tried more of the same lies to pin the burglary on Michael.
I mean, the circumstances are that 3 people who live across the street saw you hiding in the doorway there, pulling the glass out, breaking the glass. When the police officers, the 2 uniform officers who arrested you, pulled up across the street from you, they saw you run off down the alleyway, and then they described the police officer who arrested you chasing you on foot, and that police officer then arrested you around the corner.
Unfortunately for him, the more he lies, the more Michael Dixon can see through his facade.
So
this police officer recognizes me in green shorts and white t-shirt with a knapsack.
All of the witnesses saw you running from the store, being chased by the police officer who arrested you.
Oh no. When did this take place? Like how long before I was arrested? Like
he ran immediately before. Seconds.
Well, this isn't me. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay. That's fine.
After a few more stabs at trying to pin the crime on Michael, the officer finally relents. Seeing the suspect's confident demeanor, the detective is losing confidence in his deceitful methods. He is much less confrontational once he starts to see that he may have been wrong.
Do you own a bicycle?
No, not here. In Toronto, I do, yes.
Where do you live?
In here, Hamilton, 9 Delaware.
Okay, how long have you lived there?
I moved in, August.
Right.
He has now reverted to asking very basic questions, and Michael's assured responses are enough to make him regret his assumptions. After asking a few questions about Michael's work in Toronto, the detective finally starts to listen to his version of the events.
Can you describe to me, or just tell me what you're doing tonight before you got arrested?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
I was at work. I caught the 12:30 bus to Hamilton. They pulled in a station. I walked from the bus along, on the inside of the station there where the docks are. down the stairs, up John Street, crossed John Street. There was an EMS vehicle there, if that helps. So I could be a witness. But anyways, got across John Street, walked maybe 3 paces, 5 paces, whatever, and then crossed across Hunter to the north side of Hunter.
Did you run at any point?
No, I mean, there weren't any cars, so there's no reason for me to go quickly across the street. I mean,
what happened when you were arrested by the officer?
Oh, well, I could see figures, but it's dark, right? And I could sense like that person's coming towards me, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then the flashlight came up, and I thought this, and then there's more than one voice, and I thought something's up here. And then they didn't identify themselves as police officers, but
Well, they were in uniform.
In the dark, yes. And so then behind flashlights. So my point is I cannot tell who's behind the flashlight. And then I could see a weapon. And I was kind of like, they're saying, get down the ground. I'm kind of like, okay, like, cooperate. And then I'm thinking, I don't know they're police officers. And I said as such, like, who are you? Are you police? And he's like, what do you think? As a response. And I got on the ground. The next thing I know, it was like, police all around me.
His explanation includes a detailed diagram on a whiteboard, giving further credibility to his claims.
Where exactly were you when you were arrested? Can we do it on the board here? How's that?
Want me to do it?
You set up exhibits, you're probably more artistic than me. When you maybe
draw
draw a layout
the
of the
intersection.
Streets,
Yep.
and maybe a dotted line that's your path. How's that?
You'll see how the detective now tries to walk back on a lot of what he said earlier, including telling the suspect that he may or may not be guilty.
Like I said, on the information that I've got, you're going to be charged tonight with breaking and entering. However, I do have a duty to make sure that the truth is basically the truth is paramount, and the true version of events is paramount. And I have a duty to investigate all of this, and I will investigate. I assure you, I'll investigate this story thoroughly, and hopefully, I'll be able to find something here, which will either prove or disprove, what we've discussed tonight. Okay.
Michael is confidently expressing his disappointment over the course of the night's events, after being soundly defeated in his effort to get a false confession from an innocent citizen. The interrogator finally leaves the room. However, before he lets Michael go, he has something else up his sleeve.
One thing that's come to life. When you were arrested, you had an object in your hand.
A ratchet, yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me about that?
It was in my pocket, and to be quite honest, I was thinking I should have something in my hand because I was walking home, which doesn't sound very nice, but that's why it's there.
I'm not criticizing you for that.
And that's it.
He finally gives up in his blind pursuit and tells Michael what happens next.
Do you have anything you'd like to ask me about this?
A million things, yeah. First of all, what's the next step? Where am I going from this seat?
From here, you'll go to, it's 10 after 3 in the morning now. In the morning, first thing in the morning, you'll go to court. As soon as the court building's open. And I won't be asking for custody for you. I'll be asking for a conditional release. Basically, I'm asking that you'll be released on a form of bail.
Okay.
With the charges pending. The charge being break and enter.
Okay.
Despite proving the police wrong in a few minutes, Michael spent the next 3 nights in a jail cell. It took him another 9 months to clear up his name completely, and he stayed under a curfew during that time. There was an obvious uproar regarding racism in the police department, and Michael sued the county police for the damages. The court awarded him $80,000 and reprimanded the officers for their unprofessional conduct. Authenticity of the Reid technique also came under scrutiny, but it still remains a popular interrogation method because of its success in cases where the police actually do catch the right person. What do you think about Michael Dixon's interrogation? What could have the detectives done differently? Comment your thoughts below and subscribe to Deadly Details for more similar content.